All right, welcome to the Wednesday's London Open Session Silver Bullet, July 2026, Wednesday. No news on the calendar, and let's go. Let's do the analysis here. So technically, yes, my attention is still gathered around the low here. It seems or feels like it's too obvious not to take that out. Therefore, I'm thinking the sales liquidity is more likely to be engaged. Line in the sand is consecutive encroachment here. If we can lose the ground below it, then definitely these lows are something to look for, I would say. For our chart, we swept buy side liquidity pool yesterday. No follow through into this week. Couldn't reach consecutive encroachment either. Sold off. Initially, fair value gap here, that might be an inversion. And suspension block here. That's like a discount draw, I would say. That's more of like a discount draw for now, with the liquidity pool below this low. Sixty minutes. This week's consecutive encroachment, but also this inefficiency here that was traded up into. Couldn't reach the upper half of it by any means. Buy side was taken, and overnight the price made a turn and is trading lower. No real inefficiencies on the hourly chart besides maybe here. So the sell side liquidity right there seems quite reasonable near term. $50-minute fresh little bearish fair value gap here, so that's definitely something to note and be aware of. Besides that, we have very smooth sell side liquidity here, obviously. Buy side was swept rather shallowly, but it was. So that's kind of like interesting whether we will see a deeper run or not on the buy side. But for now, I would keep it simple with the idea that we might be attacking that low. I feel like some sell side liquidity here was engaged almost. So relatively close there. I will annotate that on 5-minute. Some sort of a relatively close here also are still technically in play. Definitely downside is super smooth. One minute, some very nice clean buy side liquidity here was formed. Admittedly, that's very clean. So let's add that for completeness sake. But yeah, price would need to overcome a little bit, I think, to reach up there. Besides that, super smooth sell side that is being approached right now, and AM lows from yesterday. All right, let's do the MNQ. Daily chart. So on the daily, we draw up into this inefficiency here. Oh, is this a volume imbalance there? Open, close. Yes, there is a small, like 1/4 of a point volume imbalance, but nonetheless, that was the inefficiency here. Nasdaq traded up into it. Now it's trading softer. Based on the continuous contract, there is still sell-side liquidity below those lows here on continuous contract, which might be engaged. 4-hour chart, all low sell-side liquidity and a BC that we are trading down into currently. Is there a volume balance though? Yes. All right, consecutive encroachment there. So that's kind of like as far as we could see drop right now, I feel like. With this sell set being engaged almost. On NQ, left some relative equal highs. Inside of that premium inefficiency. Mm, 15-minute chart. Smooth relative equal lows left there. Still. Smooth buy side now, also sell side being approached into a discount array. Breaker. Low, high, lower low. So interesting fact that Nasdaq already is at the low here, while ES has a little bit more room. So we'll see if a follow-up will be possible. But yeah, that's the obvious low that we are sweeping slightly politely. Deeper run below that would be reasonable. So I guess that's what I will stick with. On the upside, some relative equal highs up there, but some relative equal highs here. I can annotate them, but I'm not sure if they are a factor right now at all. Yep. All right. So I think All right, so I'm looking for this low on ES to be potentially engaged. That's kind of like my bias or basis for a bias. Let's see how it will go though. That's a pretty smooth level though on the upside. Those equal highs, very smooth too. But yeah, nonetheless, let's see. Generally, I wouldn't be too surprised if it started just moving lower right off the gate here. But we have a low, lower low, and lower low. 3 lower lows. So I don't necessarily want to get in just like that, I feel like. So already ES is making lower lows while Nasdaq isn't. I suppose that's fair, taking into consideration that Nasdaq already went deeper, lower. All right, a measure of displacement is being shown. But eventually came back and closed with this week like this. So let's see if we can close below that week. That would be good sign for lower, continuation lower. Currently, I'm looking for lower prices on ES, aiming for that level at 7,504.5. Yes, but ES hasn't taken out, so I'm watching if we can match that low with ES or not. Tiny little inefficiency here at 305. So on the 5 minute, we have a bearish order block in here. Price moved away, then price traded again into it. This formed a bearish proportion candle, and it has a small little fair value gap linked to it. So I would like to use this as a line in the sand, and I would not like to see this being breached on a closing basis above the mean threshold of this candle here. All right, so I'm technically in. 5 minute proportion block, bearish fair value gap, still potential draw lower, line in the sun, the mean threshold of the proportion candle. If we see a close above it, I be prompt to escape this trade. If we can roll over, then that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, it closed above the inefficiency here, but not necessarily above the proportion block mean threshold. So that's like it has to react here. So if we can slide back below this inefficiency and don't use it as inversion, then it's technically good still. If this acts as inversion and starts sending it higher, then my stop loss will be obviously in danger and this position will be in danger. But regardless, I'm still sticking with the idea that we might be drawing to that old low. Yeah, that's already going way deeper above the proportion candle mean threshold than I would like to, that's for sure. So I'm clearly in jeopardy of being stopped out here. All right, so right now clearly we closed above the mean threshold of the mm, proportion candle. So I will close more than the half of this. Okay, I cannot even do this. Okay. I need to take off the execution marks for now because they are taking too much space. Yeah, because price did what I was not willing to see it do, I took 3 contracts off, the 5, and left 2 remaining. If it indeed turns around in my favor, then I have something to still work around, but at the moment in time where price is right now, it's looking quite tricky, to say the least. So if it's good, it would need to start selling off right away. Yeah, I mean, at this moment, what I would love to see is to close below this 3 a.m. bearish fair value gap. Don't use it as inversion. This overlaps with a busy also. So a close below it, that's pretty much bearish, and I'm more comfortable with looking for lower prices. But yeah, any support here is really not what I'm looking for. All right, so trading into it just now. A slice right on through that would be ideal, and close below it. Yeah, I mean, very important moment to see this roll over here, lower, and don't find any support at this level, because then it becomes a little bit problematic for my short. Yeah, I mean, this isn't looking ideal though. Yeah, it stopped me out here. And because it did, because it reacted off of this as a bullish inversion here, I'm considering entering on this inefficiency here if it closes above that as inversion to aim for those stratifical highs. And I would use that idea to potentially mitigate the drawdown plus something from this trade itself, and that's purely just a mitigation type of idea. If price will close below this inefficiency here, then I will resume my original idea, and I would resume looking for lower prices then. So if you can close below this level here, that's the idea that I would entertain. As a means of mitigation, expecting then lower prices. If that would be cancelled and not close below, then I would look for this to get inversed and then look for the buy side here. That's kind of how I see it right now. Whatever happens, happens, and I will just do that accordingly. 1 minute left to close on this candle. So far we are around or below the low actually of this little fair value gap, which favors lower prices in my mind. Stop loss above this candle's high, one tick above that, and yep. All right, so clearly price closed below that. Any return up into it, I'm getting in, looking for lower. So I did 2 close proximity and 3 at the level, if possible. And yeah, if that's the case, well, technically, as long as this low is not being taken out and price comes back and fill me on the remaining 3, I think that's fine. What I wouldn't like to happen is taking out this low out and then coming back. Then that's probably less optimal. But let's see. Regardless, I think that's the draw on liquidity still. That's where the sell side resides. Price made a failure to launch here. it stopped me by a tick, literally at the high of this candle. So maybe a little bit of error on my part to put a stop loss there in that exact place. But other than that, it's looking quite heavy, I would say. All right, so because we've taken this low out, I will remove this additional order, and I will just carry that one position here. I like how we closed below this low. That should indicate heaviness. I like how heavy it looks though. It looks pretty damn heavy. And we are in close proximity to that sell side, so stretching aggressively towards that would be best case scenario. And that's what I'm anticipating though. So yeah, I mean, the original idea was to aim for that low. I entered on this candle initially, got stopped out. I mean, closed half of the position when we were here because it wasn't looking very easy. Then it came back, stopped me out on this candle's high, literally by a tick or two, and then turn around. The moment it closed below this inefficiency again, that's when I was like, all right, I can go in again, and with the exact same idea, aiming for that low, but obviously with a smaller size to potentially mitigate the initial loss. And that's what I did. I mean, I had an order here initially at the level, but price wasn't really looking as it wants to tap into it. Therefore, I used a market order and using a close proximity entry. So in close proximity to that entry here, I entered 2.5 handle difference and that's what I'm basically left with. And now having an opportunity to see price potentially deliver to that low, and that would mitigate the initial loss or the majority of it. Yeah, obviously if it turns around and stops me out, I will take a small little loss on this one, and that will conclude my day. So yeah, right now we have two inefficiencies, this one and this one. I would preferably leave this higher one open and not even trade up into it, but yeah, all of the heaviness I would like to see inside of this lower one, and the bodies stay inside of this lower one, and make a quick run towards the lows, towards the old low. But yeah, regardless, I feel like my stop loss is in a very good place. If it goes up there, then I definitely want to be out. So we are going to be approaching the 350 to 410 macro, and that's when I would like to see price pick up some speed and potentially start rolling over towards that old low. That's a singular old low that's obvious on the downside. So yeah, there is really no iffiness about that. Price is trading lower already quite a bit. All right, I don't like this one here. I don't like what they did here. It came lower, 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 and then super quickly a rejection here. That little signature in here, that feels to me like there might be some manual intervention coming. We'll see, but that little signature there was suspect. Yeah, we have consecutive encroachment on this candle here. I would love to see a close below that. That would be very, very welcome. Close below that bodes very well for continuation lower. It tapped below it, but then closed below it. So the next candle has to do it. So yeah, I mean, because it's macro, because we are so close to the objective, I want to see just continuous heaviness and not even, leaving any argument that it's iffy, that it's turning or anything like that. It should be just heavy, just continuously heavy. Yeah, this candle got to find its way to close on the other side of this week. Then that's like a signature, yes, we are going lower. Well. I mean, it's taking its time, as always, recently. Touching to this inefficiency is low, acceptable, but we really want to see the body being placed below the consecutive encroachment line. It's not being done so for these past two candles, so that's already not ideal. Not ideal for sure. And yeah, it's becoming a little bit problematic for the trade if we can't continuously show weakness and draw towards the old low here. We are definitely in the striking distance here. So let's see what the macro will actually provide in the full scope of things. So the idea would be like if the macro doesn't provide any movement here, that would be like a reason to cut the bait and be done for the session here. All right, so I guess like the next 10 minutes need to provide some intel here, some movement. Otherwise, we are running out of time, I feel like. If it's on a move, it should be on a move, right? If it's stalling, then I don't want to be in it. Yeah, I mean, this price action is becoming painful to watch, admittedly. That seems like it was like this run from this inefficiency to below this low was kind of like the whole range around 10 handles or so. And it doesn't seem like price wants to do anything beyond that right now or just now. Trading back into this inefficiencies here, I'm not a fan of that, admittedly. I'm not a fan of that at all. And that's not what I wanted to see. And it all started with price being unable to close below the consecutive encroachment of this week, right? Then it hesitated again and again, and eventually it traded all the way up here. So at this moment, I wouldn't be too eager to just take off the trade as it is here and consider that a day basically. And because yeah, it's just not following what I was looking for by any means. And if it's not doing so within the time that I gave it, then yeah, nothing I can do about it. I can arm wrestle that, but that usually doesn't end well for me, obviously, because yeah, the market will do its thing. So yeah, let's not lose the mind over it. If it wanted to move, it would. It didn't, so 139.5 loss booked, and that concludes the day for today. Yeah. All right, so thanks for watching and kudos.